Before we begin this night prayer, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like this video. I don't have the words tonight, and maybe that's part of the problem. I've run out of strength, out of sentences, out of polished prayers that make things sound better than they are. I've tried to keep it together today. Really, I did. I tried to hold my posture, smile at the right moments, answer kindly when I wanted to disappear. But something's frayed underneath all that. Something is unraveling in the quiet, and now that the world has gone still, I can hear it. The ache I ignored all day. I don't need a solution right now. I just need to know you're not stepping away from me because I'm not okay. I need to know that my mess isn't too much for you, that my silence, my heaviness, my struggle to even speak isn't pushing you away. I need to know you stay. You don't flinch when I fall apart. You don't cross your arms in disappointment when I sink into this hollow space. You don't ask me to be impressive to be loved. You're not surprised that I've ended up here again, in the dark, in the ache, in the stillness of a night that feels heavier than it should. And even though I want to be stronger, more stable, more healed, more put together right now, but I want to believe you're not keeping score. I want to believe that you're not measuring my worth by how well I carry the weight. I want to believe that grace shows up even here, in the cracks, in the tears, in the shaking hands that reach for nothing but the nearness of you. Tonight isn't about fixing anything. It's not about wrapping up the day with a bow and telling myself everything will be better tomorrow. It's about being honest with you and myself. It's about saying, I don't know how to keep going, but I want to stay close to you while I figure it out. It's about letting you see the version of me I usually hide.
I've said things in my head I wouldn't dare say out loud. I've felt things I don't know how to explain. Some nights, like this one, I feel too much and too little at once. Too many thoughts, but not enough peace. Too much shame, not enough light. Too many worries, not enough breath. And you see it all, and still, you're not walking out. I don't have a perfect theology for nights like this. I don't know how to line up the right verses to fix my fear, but I think you're okay with that. I think you're more interested in the truth I whisper in the dark than the performance I could give you in the light. And the truth is, I'm tired, I'm scared, I feel small, and all I really want is to be held by something stronger than me. So I lay it all down, not because I'm noble or brave, but because I can't hold it anymore. I lay down my attempts to look fine. I lay down the fear that you'll get tired of waiting for me to be okay. I lay down the guilt for not trusting enough. I lay down the pressure to snap out of it. I lay down every part of me that's shaking, and I ask you to meet me here, not when I'm better, but now, just as I am. Be near to the version of me who doesn't have answers, to the one who's scared of waking up in the morning and facing the same battles, to the one who's grieving things no one else even knows were lost, to the one who doesn't know how to ask for help without feeling like a burden, to the one who pretends it's all fine but is aching for someone to say, you don't have to be okay to be loved. Whisper that to me tonight. Let your love make space for the weak parts, not just the strong ones. Let your gentleness wrap around my self-condemnation and speak a better word. I don't need loud revelations. I don't need dramatic signs. I just need the assurance that you're still here, even now. That you're not waiting on the other side of my healing, but you're holding me in the middle of the wreckage. I don't want to go to sleep wondering if I've disappointed you. I want to lay my head down, knowing you're not going anywhere. That even when I'm not okay, I'm still yours. But your presence isn't dependent on my performance. That my inability to hold it together doesn't scare you. It draws you closer, because you're not the God who leaves the hurting behind. You're the one who kneels down beside them, stays through the night and holds their hand until the storm softens. So, stay with me, even if I can't pray well.
Stay even if I fall asleep mid-sentence. Stay even if I wake up anxious again. Stay even if my tears outnumber my praises. Stay even if I question more than I believe. Stay because you said you would. Stay because you know I need you. Stay not because I've earned it, but because you're the kind of God who does. Stay anyway. Stay until morning. Stay through the breaking. Stay through the rebuilding. Stay when I don't have it in me to ask again. Stay until my soul remembers how to breathe in grace. Stay until the ache has a name. The name becomes a prayer, and the prayer becomes a slow return to peace. And even if that peace takes a while, I wonder how many nights you've sat beside people like me, quiet, worn, unsure of what to ask for. I wonder how many times you've chosen not to fix the feeling immediately, but instead chose to be the friend who doesn't leave. Maybe what I need isn't a solution. Maybe it's a presence, a steady one who doesn't mind the weight of my silence, one who sees that I'm not okay and doesn't try to hurry me into a version of myself I'm not ready to become, one who says, you don't have to move. I'll sit with you right here. Tonight, I don't want a pep talk. I don't want cliches. I don't want another reminder that everything happens for a reason, because sometimes there is no obvious reason that makes this kind of hurt feel holy. What I want is a hand I can't see but somehow feel, wrapped around this unraveling heart of mine, whispering without sound. You're not lost to me. I keep thinking I should be doing better by now, that I should have already learned how to navigate these storms, that I should bounce back faster, shake off the sadness quicker, turn this night into worship instead of weariness. But I can't pretend, not with you. I don't know how to fake joy in your presence, and I don't think you're asking for it anyway. You've never asked me to perform. You've never said, come back when you're fine. You said, come to me, weary one, I'll give you rest. But what if rest doesn't look like 8 uninterrupted hours of sleep? What if it looks like not hating myself for being human? What if it's the absence of shame more than the absence of sadness? What if rest is not fixing the storm, but knowing I'm held through it? So tonight I rest in the truth that I'm still loved, not despite my pain, but through it. I let go of the version of me that believes love must be earned. I quiet the lie that says, I've failed you just because I've cried too much. I breathe slowly, deliberately, letting my chest rise not with pressure but with permission. Permission to feel, to pause, to not carry more than I have strength for. You're not rushing me. You never have. I am the one who rushes myself, who wants to be past this moment before it's even been acknowledged. But you're not intimidated by where I am. You know that some healing only begins once we stop pretending we're okay. So I stop tonight, not because I've given up, but because I finally want to be honest. This pain isn't convenient. It doesn't make for tidy prayers. It doesn't come with a timeline or a formula. But it matters to you. Every weight that sits in my chest, every story I've buried too deep, every fear I've dressed up as strength, you see it all, and you don't look away. You've stayed through worse. You've stood beside the broken-hearted before. You've made homes in places others would have abandoned. You've called people beloved, even when they called themselves not enough. You have history with hurting souls. And tonight, I join the chorus of all who came before me, the confused, the anxious, the ones who couldn't sleep, and I lift my fragile voice in their direction. Not to shout, not to demand, just to whisper, don't go. Because the only thing that would make this night worse is if I believed I had to face it alone. And I don't want to go back to thinking I have to carry my own soul while it's breaking. I don't want to fall asleep thinking you're disappointed in my inability to smile. I want to fall asleep inside the truth that you are still here, that you are staying, not because I impressed you, but because you chose me. Even in this, I let you be the one who sees the chaos inside me and chooses to love me still. I let you sit with the scared version of me and call it worthy of company. I let you stay, even when I want to tell you to go, because some part of me still believes you'll eventually tire of me, but you never do. You are not like the others. You don't disappear when I lose my light. You don't abandon when I can't offer anything in return. You don't demand perfection before presence. You give it first, and that's what breaks me the most. Not the pain, but the fact that you keep showing up in it. I want to know you that way, not as the God I perform for, but as the God I collapse into. I want to feel safe falling apart in your presence. I want to stop apologizing for the way grief comes and goes like waves. I want to believe that the nights I am most human are the nights you draw closest. So if I cry again, let those tears be prayers. If I lie in the dark and say nothing, let my silence be sacred. If I wake in the middle of the night gasping from dreams I don't understand, let your nearness anchor me back to peace. If I forget how to trust in the morning, remind me that I don't have to have perfect faith for you to still be faithful. Let this night teach me how to receive without deserving. Let it teach me how to lean without shame. Let it teach me that my pain is not a disqualifier from divine intimacy. Let it teach me that you're not waiting for the lights to come on. You're already here in the dark. Stay, God, not because I know how to hold you close. Stay because you know how to hold me even when I don't reach. Stay because you love me past my logic. Stay because I need to fall asleep believing in a love that won't walk out when I break. Stay because you promised. Stay until the sorrow softens. Stay until I believe you're not going anywhere. Stay anywhere. There's a strange relief in saying it plainly. I'm not okay. Not trying to sugarcoat it. Not framing it as a temporary dip. Just naming it. The ache, the weariness, the disorientation as something real, something here. Something I can't bypass with positive thinking or neatly packaged verses that sound good but feel far from where I am. And still, somehow, in the middle of this unedited confession, I sense you leaning closer. Not to fix me, not to teach me a lesson, just to be here, just to be with me in it, just to make sure I know I'm not facing this night alone. And maybe that's all I've ever really needed, to know that when I lose my footing, I don't lose you. The world often doesn't know what to do with people who aren't okay. It asks for composure. It rewards resilience that looks like denial. It gives standing ovations to those who smile through grief, but grows uncomfortable when that grief lingers past the time it should. But you are not startled by the slow process. You do not rush the soul. You do not shame the weary. You do not say, you should be better by now. You say, I'm here. I'm not leaving. This is sacred ground, and it is sacred. This moment of letting go, not of hope, but of pretense. This honest breath that says, I can't fake this anymore. This space where I stop performing and just let myself be held. I don't know when the light will come back, but maybe it begins here, not with a blinding breakthrough, but with a flicker of love that stays even in the fog. Maybe that's what you've been waiting for. Not my recovery, but my honesty. Not my return to joy, but my willingness to invite you into the sadness. Maybe you're not trying to lift me out of this space as quickly as possible. Maybe you want to sit in it with me until the silence becomes safety and the fear begins to loosen its grip. I want to believe that. I want to believe that you're not waiting on the other side of my breakthrough. That you're not keeping your distance until I've figured out how to get back on my feet. That you are here now with my questions, with my heaviness, with all the invisible things that make this night hard to carry. I don't need to be told I'm strong. I've heard that enough. What I need is to be reminded that I'm not alone, that there's a hand on my back, a whisper in the dark, a stillness that's more than just emptiness. It's the presence of the one who chose to stay when everything in me braced for abandonment. That's the wound I rarely name. The fear that if I really let someone see me undone, they'll walk away. That if I unravel too far, no one will know how to handle the pieces. That if I'm too much, I'll end up too alone. And yet, you already see it all. Not just the version of me that tries to cope. You see the collapse, the inner storm, the shaking parts I hide even from myself. And your response is not to recoil. It's to draw near. You do not love a future version of me more than the one lying here right now, at the edge of what I can bear. You do not wait for me to get it together before you come closer. You bend low, you settle into the air, you wrap yourself around the fragile shell of a person who can't offer you anything but a quiet, broken breath, and you call it beautiful. That kind of love terrifies me, not because it's cruel, but because it's too kind, too constant, too unwavering. It breaks through all the walls I've built to protect myself from disappointment. It sits beside me even when I brace for rejection. It whispers, "I'm not afraid of your weakness," when all I've ever known is love that depended on performance. And so I breathe again, not because the pain is gone, but because I believe you're in it with me. I release the pressure to explain everything, to tie up every feeling into a coherent thought, to find language for things that might not need words. Some nights are not meant for clarity, they're meant for communion, for sitting in the presence of the one who's. If I say nothing else tonight, let this be enough. I still want you here. Not because I have something to offer, not because I've done anything to earn it, but because I can't do this without you. I can't hold my own heart together. I can't navigate the labyrinth of thoughts that spiral when the lights go out. I can't convince myself that I'm loved when shame rises like a wave. I need you to be the voice that cuts through the noise and says, "You're still mine." Remind me of that in the quiet, not with thunder, but with tenderness. Let the stillness become a sanctuary. Let my bed become a holy ground, not because I've been brave, but because you're present, because you've declared that this moment matters, not because I've conquered the night, but because I've let you into it. This is what I've never dared to ask out loud. Will you stay, even if I don't change tonight? Will you stay if I never find a reason for this sorrow? Will you stay even when I question, doubt, withdraw, fall silent? Will you stay, not because I've made it easy to love me, but because that's just who you are? I believe you will, even if part of me still fears otherwise. I believe you don't flinch when I cry out in confusion, that you don't grow tired of my prayers that end in silence, that you don't need me to be consistent for you to be faithful, that you're not waiting for a moment when I finally get it right. You're already here, fully, patiently, lovingly. So I don't reach for resolution tonight. I reach for you, not because I know what to say, but because I believe you hear what isn't said. You read the pauses, you interpret the sighs, you understand the language of a soul that doesn't know how to be strong right now. Stay, God, in the questions, in the tears, in the fear, in the parts of me I'd rather ignore. Stay in the heaviness I can't outrun. Stay when I've got nothing left to give. Stay when my only prayer is please don't leave. And you won't. I believe that now. You're not going anywhere. You've made a home in places I thought were too broken. You've chosen me when I couldn't even choose myself. And even tonight, when I feel more like a burden than a blessing, you stay. Anyway, if I were to trace the moments that brought me to this night, this ache, this deep breath that trembles before it settles, I think I'd see a trail of quiet breaks I never addressed. Small fractures, subtle wounds, words that stung but never got named. Choices I made to survive when what I needed was to be safe. And now it all collects here, in the stillness, pressing against my ribs like an invisible weight. I can't explain all of it, not even to myself, but I feel it, every bit of it, and I know you do too. That's the strange miracle I keep forgetting. You notice what I don't say. You catch what I drop. You hold what I bury. And when it all starts rising like it is tonight, when the ache has no clear beginning or shape, you don't panic. You just sit with me in it, patient as ever. I don't have to translate my heart. You already speak its language. I keep wondering how many times I've mistaken silence for abandonment, when really it was you waiting. Not waiting for me to perform, but for me to exhale, to stop forcing myself to be fine, to lay down the mask, to admit that this life, as holy and beautiful as it can be, also hurts, that I'm scared. I'll always carry this weight, that some parts of me feel permanently frayed, like I'm stitched together with threads too thin for the storms I'm facing. But you see all of it, the hollow places, the overcompensation, the way I try to be useful even when I'm undone, hoping maybe, if I give enough, I won't feel so unworthy. You know the twisted logic I use to convince myself I'm lovable only if I'm okay, and still, you're not confused by me, not disappointed, not on edge. You're here, fully, quietly, steadily. That steadiness means more than I can say, because most things in my life feel unstable. Circumstances change, people drift, moods shift, expectations rise. But you are the constant, the unchanging nearness, the whisper that doesn't leave, even when I'm not making sense. And maybe tonight isn't about clarity. Maybe it's about permission. To be held without explanation. To be loved without having to defend my pain. To be seen and not evaluated. Just seen, just understood, just held. I keep thinking back to the times when I thought you had left, when the silence felt unbearable and my prayers fell flat. But maybe you were closer in those moments than I ever knew. Maybe you were the breath that steadied me, the hand I didn't see but felt when I didn't fall apart completely. Maybe you were in the tears I didn't know how to cry, the ones that lodged in my chest and made it hard to speak. Maybe you were never far. I just didn't know what closeness looked like when I was hurting. I don't want to miss you tonight. Not again. Not this time. I don't want my pain to be so loud that I forget you're whispering something truer underneath it. Something that doesn't erase what I feel, but transforms how I carry it. Something like, you're not failing for feeling this way. Something like, I see you and I'm not going anywhere. So I won't push you away, even if part of me wants to. Even if the vulnerable parts of me recoil from love because they've been hurt before, I'll stay open, just a little. I'll let the guard down, even if it's only for a moment. I'll let you speak into the spaces I've locked up tight, the shame, the fatigue, the confusion that wraps around my thoughts like fog. Speak to those places, God, not with pressure, but with presence, not with demands, but with gentleness. Remind me that I'm not a problem to solve. I'm a person you love. Even when I don't feel like myself, even when I'm not sure, I want to keep trying. Even when I question whether the pieces will ever fit again. You're not afraid of that. You're not shaken by my uncertainty. You're not frustrated that I keep circling back to the same wounds. You're patient. You always have been. You've waited through longer nights than this. You've held heavier hearts. You'll hold mine too, if I let you. So I do. I let you. Not because I'm strong enough, but because I'm tired of resisting. Tired of pretending. Tired of trying to carry this alone, when you've been offering to help all along. I don't know how to let go completely, but maybe I don't have to. Maybe I just need to loosen my grip enough for you to slip your hand under the weight. Take what you can, hold what I can't. And if all I can do tonight is fall asleep in the middle of the mess, then let that be enough. Let it be holy. Let it be hell. Stay. Stay not because I'm impressive. Stay not because I've earned it. Stay not because I always remember how to reach for you. Stay because you promised you would. Stay because you're good. Stay because I need you more than I know how to say. Somewhere along the way, I learned that falling apart meant failure, that breaking down was something to hide, that if I couldn't explain the pain, I shouldn't speak of it. So I didn't. I kept going. I patched the cracks. I memorized the right phrases. I held myself together with whatever I could find. A little bit of control, a little bit of pride, a little bit of silence. And maybe it worked for a while, but not tonight. Tonight, I can't hold up the weight of all I've buried. I can't put on the calm voice, the steady tone, the tidy prayer. I don't have the words to wrap around what I just have this breath that shakes when I inhale, this tear that stays too long in the corner of my eye, this ache in my chest that pulses without reason. I'm not okay, and for once, I'm not trying to run from that truth. I'm just asking you to stay in it with me. Because if I'm being honest, brutally honest, there's a part of me that's scared of how long this has lasted. Not the night, not the darkness outside the windows, the heaviness, the ache that didn't leave with the sun, the questions that didn't quiet when the room went still, the weight that settled on my soul like a fog that won't lift. I thought it would pass. I kept telling myself, one more day, one more push, one more deep breath. But here I am again, tired, fragile, afraid of what I'll find if I sit too long in the silence. And yet, here you are, too. You didn't leave me when the faith went quiet. You didn't vanish when the gratitude got thin. You didn't walk away when I stopped pretending. If anything, you drew closer, not with noise, but with nearness. You let me unravel in peace. You gave me space to be undone without shame. You didn't rush to fix me. You didn't point to my failure. You simply stayed. And that sacred presence is more healing than any answer you could have given me. I used to think healing came through clarity, through insight, through knowing the why. But maybe healing begins the moment I realize I'm still held, even without understanding that you're not waiting on the other side of my recovery. You're here, fully here, in the fragments, in the confusion, in the long night where my only prayer is this breath. It's a strange kind of peace, this quiet between the sobs, this pause between the questions. It doesn't erase what hurts, but it offers something deeper, the knowing that I'm not abandoned, that I'm not wrong for feeling this way, that my emotions are not proof of distance between us, but proof of a human heart that still longs for something more. And maybe that longing is holy. Maybe it's not something to suppress, but something to carry gently into your presence. So I do. I bring the longing, the bruised hopes, the weariness I can't shake, the disappointment I haven't named. I bring the quiet despair that says, will it ever feel different? And I don't dress it up. I bring it raw and real and afraid. I bring it because I trust, or I want to trust, that you're the kind of God who wants even this. Not just my praise, but my pain. Not just my joy, but my sorrow. Not just my certainty, but my doubt. Not just the parts of me that glow, but the parts that are dim and flickering, trying not to go out. You don't need me to tidy up before you enter. You don't ask for a room swept clean. You come into the middle of the mess, the dishes undone, the thoughts undone, the self undone. and you bring no shame with you, only light, only rest, only the quiet assurance that I am not too much, not too broken, not too late to be held. So I stop measuring myself by how quickly I heal. I stop punishing myself for not bouncing back. I stop looking at others' strength and using it as a weapon against my own softness. Maybe this softness isn't weakness. Maybe it's where you meet me most. In the unraveling, in the vulnerability, in the tears that fall without audience or applause. Maybe this is where trust is born, not in the certainty of outcomes, but in the safety of surrender. God, if this is surrender, then take it all. Take the ache I can't name. Take the fear of being forgotten. Take the self-doubt that loops like a record in my mind. Take the memories that still sting when no one's watching. Take the pressure I put on myself to keep performing. I'm tired. I can't hold the mask anymore. Let it fall. Let me fall with it. Into you. Fall into your nearness. Into your mercy. Into the arms that don't demand perfection. Into the love that isn't scared of my shadows. Into the safety that says, even here, even now, you're mine. I want to believe that more than anything, that I'm still yours when I feel like I've failed, that I'm still yours when I don't have a brave word left, that I'm still yours when my only act of faith is showing up, lying down and saying, because you are not the God of perfect presentations. You are the God who enters the quiet with compassion, who makes the floor of the valley sacred, who calls this undone version of me beloved. That word, beloved, it sits like a balm on my skin tonight, not as something I've earned, but something you give freely. Not because I've climbed my way back to joy, but because you've come down into the sorrow and sat beside me, unmoving, unflinching. Because you are not afraid of the dark. You've walked through it before. You've felt the weight of isolation, the sting of silence, the ache of being unseen, and still you. So I believe you'll stay now too, through this long night, through these waves of sadness, through the quiet battles I don't speak aloud, through the fears I haven't named, through the healing that hasn't happened yet, through the process I don't understand. You'll stay, not because I hold you tightly, but because you hold me. Let that be enough tonight. Let that be a miracle. Not escape, not answers, just you. Still here, still with me, still holding what I can. And in the small hours, when the world sleeps, and I still feel everything, let me feel you more. Not loudly, but truly. In the warmth of the blanket, in the rise and fall of breath, in the stillness that no longer feels empty but sacred, holy, love. And if I wake again in the night, unsure of where I stand, remind me gently, you don't have to stand. Just stay. I'm staying too. There's a loneliness that doesn't always come from being alone. Sometimes it comes from feeling unseen in a crowded world. It's from wearing a smile when your heart is folding in on itself, from nodding through conversations while your inner world spins in slow, silent collapse. I think that's where I am tonight. Not alone, not isolated, just invisible in the way that makes the soul ache. And I don't know how to tell anyone that. I don't know how to explain that. Being strong all day has left me with nothing now. No strength, no sentence, no shield, just this quiet cry that lives beneath my skin. Please don't leave. I don't say it out loud, but I think you hear it. I think you always do. I think you lean close to the things I'm afraid to admit, that the faith I showed earlier wasn't as solid as it looked, that the kindness I gave others wasn't something I had left for myself, that I'm afraid this heaviness is who I am now. Not just something I feel, but something I've become. And even in that fear, you don't flinch. You don't argue with me. You don't rebuke my exhaustion. You just remain. You've always remained. Through seasons when I praised you without hesitation. Through nights when I wept into the floor. Through days when I believed you were near, and through others when I wasn't sure I believed at all. You stayed. And tonight, I need to know, not intellectually, but soul deep, that you're staying again. Not because I earned it, but because you're the kind of God who doesn't leave when it's dark. Because it is dark. God, not in the room, but in the atmosphere of my inner world. The kind of darkness that doesn't scream, but hums like a low drone. Always there, barely noticeable from the outside, but unmistakable when everything else grows quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It just lives here, tucked beneath the surface. And I'm so tired of hiding it. So tired of pretending I don't feel it. So tired of managing the emotional temperature of everyone around me while ignoring my own slow freeze. But you see it. You see the frost inching across my hope. You see the way I've been trying to light fires with wet matches, and instead of scolding me for not staying warm, you offer your flame, quiet, constant. The kind of warmth that doesn't demand anything in return. You bring light that doesn't blind me, only softens the edges of the night. You bring presence that doesn't pressure me, only holds me as I am. And that is everything. Because I don't need a dramatic rescue right now. I just need to know that my despair isn't disqualifying, that my confusion isn't a wall between us, that I'm not a disappointment you're politely tolerating. I need to know that you love the version of me who forgets how to sing, the one who stares at the ceiling and lets the tears fall without wiping them, the one who whispers, "I'm sorry I'm like this," and means it, the one who is tired of being tired. Speak to that one, God. Not the performer, not the fixer, not the over-functioning version of me that gets through the day by minimizing every wound. Speak to the heart that doesn't know how to feel safe anymore, the one that's afraid of being too much and not enough in the same breath, the one that wants to let go but is scared that if she does, no one will catch her. Tell her you will. Tell her you always do. Tell her it's okay not to rise tonight, that sacred things grow in soil, not on pedestals, that even when she's low, she's not unloved. That stillness isn't the enemy of progress. It's often the very place where healing begins. That silence isn't always empty. Sometimes it's full of what's most real. And that being held isn't weakness. It's what you made it for. I think sometimes I forget that I was made to be held, that I wasn't designed to carry this alone, that strength wasn't meant to be a solitary burden, but something that flows through surrender, that the bravest thing I can do on nights like this is not to fight, but to fall back into your arms and let you be the one who doesn't let go. So I fall again, not with elegance, not with grace, just with honesty. With nothing left to offer but this trembling hope. Please still be here when I wake. Please still love me when the sadness lingers into morning. Please still see me when I feel invisible. Please still choose me, even when I'm not strong. And maybe, just maybe, you'll show me something I've never seen before. That love doesn't walk away when I'm at my lowest. That love doesn't retreat when my light dims. That you don't require my sparkle to stay. You stay because I'm yours. Because love isn't a contract. You revoke when I break. It's a covenant. You keep, even when I forget how to keep breathing. So tonight, I'll let go of trying to make sense of it all, of blaming myself for being undone, of explaining the ache, of holding it together so tightly that I forget how to feel. I let go, not because I don't care anymore, but because I care enough to stop pretending, because the soul needs space to bleed honestly, and because I believe you are the kind of God who meets me, not after I clean up, but in the place I break. Be in the breaking tonight. Not as an intruder, but as a companion. not as a mechanic, but as a healer, not as a voice of guilt, but as a well of mercy. Sit with me in the debris of this day, and if you don't say a word, let that be the comfort that you're here, in the quiet, in the heaviness, in the place I thought no one would dare to stay. And if I forget tomorrow how close you were tonight, remind me gently, not with force, not with fire, just with the same soft strength that stayed while I wept, stayed while I questioned, stayed while I said nothing. Stay again until staying feels normal. Stay until my soul believes it's safe to breathe. Stay until I no longer fear being fully seen. Because that's what I want, deep down. Not escape, not avoidance. Just love that doesn't move when I fall apart. Just love that doesn't flinch when I get quiet. Just love that doesn't need me to smile in order to stay. Just love that stays anyway. There's a kind of quiet that doesn't ask for words. It doesn't reach for answers. It doesn't even expect resolution. It just wants presence, a hand nearby, a light that doesn't burn the eyes, only glows enough to say, I'm still here. That's what I long for tonight. Not solutions, not sudden strength. Just you, close enough to touch what still trembles in me. I keep thinking about all the times I've prayed with hope in my chest, hope that rose like morning light, bright and expectant. But tonight, this prayer feels more like an echo, a whisper that doesn't even rise above the sound of my breath. It doesn't reach for the sky. It just curls into the dark and says, don't go, because I know what it's like when people leave. When love is loud in the beginning, but fades when the pain lingers too long. When the sparkle in someone's eye dims, as soon as you stop being okay. When the world rewards recovery, but recoils at the mess. And I've lived enough life to brace for that recoil, even with you. But you don't recoil. You don't retreat. You draw closer. Not because I've asked beautifully. Not because I've done something worthy of affection. You draw close because you've always been the kind of God who touches what others avoid, who walks into rooms where grief has settled like dust, who kneels beside those too tired to rise, and who stays even when the staying costs something. So stay here again, in this room, in this hour, in this version of me that's more questions than confidence. Stay where the thoughts spiral slowly into sorrow. Stay where I'm unsure of my next step. Stay where I can't see what's ahead, but still want to believe you'll be there when I get there. Because even though I'm not okay, I still want you. I want you not as a reward for my strength, but as the companion who doesn't leave when I have none. I want to feel you here in the places I've hidden, the fragile places I've coated in shame, the cracked places I've covered in silence. I want to feel your nearness, not because I've earned it, but because you promised it. You said you're close to the broken-hearted, and I am that. Even if I've learned to hide it well, it's a strange thing, isn't it? To want comfort but fear closeness. To crave presence but recoil when love lingers too long. To say, stay with your mouth, but whisper, leave with your fear. I live in that tension. I don't know how to be held without apologizing for the wait. I don't know how to be still without believing I'm failing. I don't know how to be loved without bracing for the end of it. But you are teaching me slowly, softly, through nights like this. You are teaching me that I can be held even in my silence, that my tears aren't embarrassing to you. They're invitations, that my questions don't disqualify me from your embrace, that you are not surprised by how human I am, and that maybe, just maybe, the parts of me I've most tried to manage are the ones you're most tender toward. You don't call my collapse a crisis, you call it holy ground. You call my ache a doorway, not a detour. You don't need me to be triumphant, you just want me present, breathing, open enough to let you in. So here I am again, Not performing, not fixing, not pretending, just bringing you what's real. The soft panic beneath my ribs. The strange numbness that follows a long day of pretending I'm fine. The longing for someone to see me without me having to explain. I bring it all, unfiltered, unpolished, unspoken, because you already know. You know the thoughts I'm ashamed of. You know the fears that circle in my chest before I sleep. You know the memories that visit me uninvited. You know the way I brace myself even for grace. And still, that's what undoes me. Not the pain, not even the sadness, but the staying. That you stay without scolding me, that you stay without asking me to be different, that you stay while I cry for no reason I can explain, that you stay when I turn away and again when I look back with shame in my eyes, that you stay when I can't hold my own heart together and you don't demand I do. And if that's true, if you really are the kind of God who doesn't flinch at the depth of human sorrow, then maybe I can stop flinching too. Maybe I can stop rushing through the ache. Maybe I can sit here exactly as I am and say, this hurts, this is heavy, this is holy, and I'm not alone. Because that's the miracle, isn't it? Not that I've avoided breaking, but that I've never broken alone. Not once, not truly. Even when I felt like the silence swallowed me, even when I thought I'd been forgotten, you were there, quiet, yes, but not absent, gentle, yes, but not indifferent. You're the kind of presence that doesn't need a spotlight, the kind that doesn't compete with the noise, the kind that waits until I'm still enough to notice and then overwhelms me, not with volume, but with peace. So tonight, I let that peace find me. I won't chase it. I won't force it. I'll let it come like a soft blanket, like the hush of dusk, like the breath I didn't know I was holding. I'll let it wrap around the aching parts of me, not to erase them, but to say, you're safe here. And if I wake in the night, startled by some shadow I can't name, I won't panic. I'll remember this, that you're still here, that I'm still yours, that no darkness is dark to you, that no sorrow is unwelcome, that no silence is a sign of absence when love stays as you do. Stay then, stay even if my breath is shallow, stay even if I say nothing more, stay if the tears return, stay if the pain returns, stay if all I do is fall asleep trying to believe this love is real, because that's what I want most, not to escape the pain, but to know it doesn't sever the love, that I can fall apart in front of you and not lose the right to be loved, that I can be not okay, and you'll stay anyway. Some nights, all I want is to forget, to let the weight slide off, to fall asleep untouched by the things I carry. But forgetting isn't peace. It's only numbness, and I've worn that numbness before, like armor, like fog, like something that keeps the pain quiet but also keeps love out. I don't want to go numb tonight. I want to feel what's real, even if it's raw. I want to stay present, even if it hurts. But I can't do that unless I know you'll be here through all of it. Not just the beauty, not just the brave moments, but this low, quiet ache that never quite explains itself. I used to think that faith meant rising quickly, that trust meant smiling through storms, that you were most pleased when I was most polished. But now I wonder if faith is just staying, not running from the grief, not pretending joy, not wrapping pain in platitudes, but breathing in the dark with you and saying, I'm still here. Please still be here too. And you are. I don't know how I know, but I do. You're not pacing the halls of heaven waiting for me to heal faster. You're not disappointed that I'm still here on this floor of sorrow speaking the same fragile words I whispered yesterday. You're here because you don't measure time like I do. You don't grow weary of the process. You don't need me to recover on a schedule. You're the God of slow healing and long silence and presence that never rushes the soul. So let me be slow tonight. Let me take my time. Let me be quiet without guilt. Let the night be what it is, not a test, not a punishment, not a performance, but a place of meeting. You and me. The God who stays, and the child who can't keep pretending to be okay. That's all I want to be tonight. Yours. Not successful, not impressive, not wise, just held. And in that holding, maybe I'll remember what I've forgotten. That I'm not fragile because I'm broken. I'm fragile because I'm human, because I've lived, because I've loved, because I've lost things that mattered and kept going anyway. And you don't shame me for that. You honor it. You meet me in it. You say, you don't have to hide your humanity to be close to me. I made you like this, tender, vulnerable, real. Real, that's the word I keep coming back to. I don't want to be impressive. I don't want to be inspiring. I just want to be real with you. And no, I'm not loved any less for it. I want to be messy, unfiltered, unsure, and still find myself wrapped in grace. I want to know that even when I offer nothing but breath, that's enough for you to stay. Because breath is all I have right now. I'm not building anything tonight. I'm not dreaming big. I'm not praying with fire. I'm just breathing, slowly, weakly. But it's honest, and maybe that's what you've wanted all along. Not ambition, not noise, just this quiet moment when I stop and say, this is what I have. Will you stay with me in it? And you do. You always do. I wonder how many nights you've sat beside the broken people like me who couldn't explain why they were undone, people who tried all day to be okay and collapsed into the dark with nothing but questions, people who felt unworthy of love because they didn't bounce back fast enough. I wonder how many you've comforted, not with solutions, but with presence, with silence, with breath, with stillness that says, you don't have to move. I'm already here. I need that stillness. I need a love that doesn't push me forward, but lays beside me and says, even here is holy. A love that doesn't expect me to have answers. A love that doesn't rush the ache. A love that doesn't need me to be anything other than present. Yours. I think that's the most sacred thing about nights like this. They strip away everything unnecessary. All the trying, all the proving, all the effort to be worthy. And what's left is this quiet heart, tired but open, saying, if you still want me, I'm here. You've never needed me to shine for you to stay. You've never measured my value by my strength. You've never turned away when I had no prayer left to give. Even in silence, you are near. Even in darkness, you are light. Even in the collapse, you are still holding me together. So I will sleep tonight, not because the pain has lifted, but because you've stayed. I will rest, not because the storm has passed, but because I am not alone in it. I will let go, not because I've finished healing, but because I no longer have to do it by myself. And if tomorrow brings the same ache, then bring your same love. If I wake still afraid, still tired, still not okay, then stay again. Not out of duty, not out of pity, but out of the kind of love that doesn't change when I do. There's something strange about this kind of night, the way it doesn't ask permission, the way it settles over everything like a quiet grief. Not loud, not sudden, just present, lingering, unspoken. And in the middle of it, I sit with my own breath, unsure if I'm praying or just surviving, unsure if I'm holding on to you or just hoping you haven't let go of me. They keep thinking of all the ways I've tried to earn comfort, all the ways I've tried to make myself worthy of tenderness. I've worked so hard to be manageable, palatable, easy to love. Even with you, I've tried to minimize the sadness, clean up the thoughts, make the prayers sound strong. I've told myself if I'm not okay, I should at least be spiritual about it, whatever that means. But you aren't drawn to the polished version of me. You don't come close because I've done everything right. You come close because I'm yours, and I'm still yours tonight, even when the words are slow, even when the tears don't make sense, even when I can't articulate what exactly hurts. I'm yours, not because I've remembered every truth, but because you've never forgotten me. And even if all I do tonight is sit here and try to believe that, I think you count that as prayer. So I pray like this, with cracked thoughts and an aching heart and a silence full of weight. I pray by staying, by breathing, by not turning away from hard things. I pray by letting myself feel this ache without rushing it away. I pray by whispering, "Stay, God," even in the, because I'm still afraid. Not just of what hurts, but of what it says about me. I'm afraid that my struggle means I've failed, that my sadness means I've slipped away from you, that my lack of strength is proof that I've somehow disqualified myself from closeness with you. But you tell a different story. You say I am loved, not past tense, not future tense, now. You say I am not too far, not too broken, not too late. You say I don't have to stand to be seen, that sitting in the dark is not a sin, that letting myself be human is not a betrayal of faith, that grief and belief can share the same breath. And I believe you, or I want to. I want to believe you're proud of me even when I can't lift my head. I want to believe you see beauty in my honesty, not shame. I want to believe you'd rather hear my real fears than my fake praises. I want to believe you are holding all the things I can't tonight, my future, my questions, my tired body, my undone hope. Let me be small tonight, God. Let me be unsure. Let me be tired and not apologize for it. Let me let go of everything I was supposed to be and just rest in the truth that you are not tired of me, that you are not hoping I'll toughen up, that you're not disappointed that I'm still here in this soft breaking, asking you again to stay, because you've stayed through worse, through darker nights, through years when I didn't know how to look for you, and yet you were always looking for me, through prayers I never finished, and hopes I buried quietly. You stayed when I walked away. You stayed when I forgot how to trust. You stayed when I numbed the pain instead of naming it, and you're still staying now. And that is what makes this night holy. Not that I've risen, not that I've overcome, but that you've remained. I don't know how long this will last, this ache, this confusion, this fear, but I know that love that stays long enough can change the shape of sorrow. I know that presence is sometimes stronger than answers. I know that healing doesn't always look like walking away whole. Sometimes it looks like being willing to sit inside the ache with the one who will not leave. So sit with me, God. In the middle of this restless night, in the thoughts I haven't spoken, in the moments when I pretend I'm fine, but desperately wish someone would notice I'm not, in the questions that loop like echoes, in the memories that still sting, in the grief I've tried to carry by myself, be here, not as a fix, just as you. Let your nearness be the ground beneath my brokenness. Let your stillness quiet the places inside me that scream. Let your love be louder than the silence. Let your voice be softer than the shame. And if I fall asleep still afraid, let that sleep be a form of surrender. Not because everything is better, but because I believe you're still holding me in it. I don't need the pain to vanish tonight. I don't even need it to lessen. I just need to know that it doesn't scare you, that you're not tiptoeing around my brokenness like it might stain you, that you're not here to fix me and move on, but to dwell right here in the ache that won't explain itself. I'm not okay, and you're not offended by that. That, somehow, is what makes this night bearable, because I don't have another version of myself to offer you, just this one, the one who has tried to be strong for too long, the one who's run out of metaphors for hope, the one who has circled the same mountain of sadness more times than she can count, the one who's tired of pretending not to be tired, the one who used to bounce back faster and now just lies here and breathes, hoping that's enough. Maybe it is. Maybe breathing is a prayer. Maybe the fact that I'm still here, not running, not shutting down, just here, is proof enough that I still believe. Not in a perfect outcome, not in my own ability to pull through, but in you, in your love that doesn't leave, in your hands that don't let go, in your mercy that meets me here exactly as I am, again and again. You don't ask me to justify the weight I carry. You don't ask why I'm not past it yet. You don't trace timelines around my healing or demand I explain the cycle of pain. You just stay. And in your staying, you rewrite everything I thought I knew about love. Love that remains. Love that bears witness. Love that doesn't need to solve me to want me. That's the kind of love I've always longed for. Not the kind that asks me to shrink my sorrow, but the kind that says, you don't need to be okay for me to stay. I've heard that said before, but tonight I believe it. Not because anything changed, but because you didn't. You didn't flinch. You didn't grow distant. You didn't roll your eyes at my repetition or sigh at my inability to rise. So I stopped trying to wrap this night in closure. I stopped searching for a bow to tie round the pain. I let it be what it is, a night of need, of silence, of fragile trust, of small faith, of soft, trembling prayers that don't sound like victory, but sound like truth. I let you see this version of me that doesn't have it together, the one who stopped writing victory speeches and started whispering, please stay. Maybe the miracle isn't that I got better, but that you stayed when I didn't. Maybe faith is less about always standing strong and more about falling honestly, letting myself land in the arms of the one who never asked me to be unbreakable in the first place, letting myself cry without fixing it, letting myself be known in the most uncurated way and still finding myself loved. That's what undoes me. Not the pain, but the persistence of your love in the middle of it. A love that stays when the prayers stop. A love that lingers when the heart shuts down. A love that waits with hands open, not folded in frustration. A love that sees my sadness not as a defect, but as an invitation to come closer. So come closer still, God, into the corners I've kept locked, into the memories I don't share out loud, into the parts of me that brace for abandonment every time I let someone see too much. Come into the places that feel unworthy of warmth, into the spaces that feel like too much for anyone to hold. Come, not because I finally asked correctly, but because you are always already near. I don't need a resolution tonight. I just need rest. Not the kind of rest that comes from a solved life, but the kind that comes from being safely held. Let this be that kind of night. Not light-filled, not loud, not triumphant, but sacred in its softness, holy in its honesty, quiet in its courage.